Falch iawn heddi I gyfrifol Malcolm Morrison, Mal Morrison. I'm very pleased and proud today to welcome Mal Morrison, who's going to launch his new book, Z of Brecon. So, Mal's going to give a look at history. He was born here in Brecon, so born in Newmarch Street in Llanfaes, and a survivor of the boot camp, known at the time as the Brecon Boys Grammar School. And afterwards then he worked in Brecon here until the 1970s in a variety of jobs, including trainee manager in W.H. Smith's, before being deported north to Bilf, where he's lived ever since. Mal worked as a paramedic then for 30 or so years until retirement, but he's never lost contact with Brecon and is regularly to be found either in one of the cafes here in town or around the streets with a camera in hand. He has many friends and family still here in Brecon. A few years after his deportation to Bilf, he followed up a lifelong interest in local history with his first book, his first publication, A Pictorial History of Bilf Wells, which came out in 1989, and that was a huge success and soon sold out. And since then he's had a total of 8 books published. His association with his publisher, Amberley Books, Stroud, began several years ago when they rang up out of the blue and asked him to write for them. Initially he said no, but he was persuaded, thank goodness, when they promised him royalties. And he's now completed 5 titles with them, 4 of them about Brecon itself. His lovely wife Sue is with us today, as a librarian in Bilf. Mark claims she's really his carer and mentor. They have 5 grown-up children and approximately 9 grandchildren. And although Mal is supposed to be retired, he continues to write and is contemplating the possibility of another book for Amberley, with hopefully a local co-author. Intrigued to know who that is. And he's also currently working on an article for Breconiog, the Journal of the Breconiog Society. So Mal is going to talk today about his relationship with his publisher and his research methods, and will also, as long as everybody still seems to be awake, he says, read some short passages from his new book, along with a few slides. So, right, so Mal.
Thank you very much, Kay. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. I've done your research. And thank you all for turning up today, yes. Nice to see so many of you. We've all got gel, hand gel and mask if anybody requires it. Just joking aside, it's something we've better to consider in the near future, isn't it? But there we are. Anyway, welcome to all of you. I'm Mal, as Kay has told you all about me. Can we give a quick, I'd like to know who I'm talking to. You know, the types of people, what your interests are in the way, I'm sure you're all interested in writing poetry or fiction or history or whatever, yes. Or maybe you just like talking or meeting people. Can we have a quick flash around you, is that okay? Be embarrassed, say no. Where should we start? At the back.
I'm John Dingley, and I also write books. And I spent most of my time in the United States, originally from Llanfaes, near Bilf Wells, and I usually come home for the winter. It's a lot warmer, even though it might be wetter, than it is in Minnesota, where I reside. So, that's me.
I'm your wife. Can you say more?
I'm not sure what that applause was. Was that a sympathetic applause or not? Yes, she is my wife, carer, mentor, whatever else you're. Yes. Gets me tea in bed in the morning, and she warned me a few months ago, is your phone switched off? Yes, she looks after me. She's a wonderful lady. I know you, John. Thanks to everybody else.
Jonathan Morgan, I've written just have on my 5th book at the moment, which was going to be launched on the 13th of May. But my brother, who's a very sensible lawyer, said, John, you won't get anyone there with the coronavirus. So I'm waiting till September to launch it now.
And I'll be there, John. Yes. Hello.
I'm Gina Davis, and I've helped produce a book about the Brecon Jazz Festival. I'm a keen photographer.
Yes, we've spoken about this before,
Yes,
haven't we?
that's
Yes,
right.
I remember, yes. I got a couple of function cells left in there, yes.
Robert Ackley, University of the Brecon Family History Society. I produced 2 books from Brecon, past and present.
Good book, very good books they are too. Robert, I got both of them. Yes, well done. Yeah.
I'm Owen Williams. I'm responsible in the book for the ghost story from the Guild Hall. Myself.
It was you!
Me, myself and my son. I've just had my first, like poetry, I've just had my first work published in a publication, a new book called Radical Poetry from Contemporary Wales.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's been launched on the 12th.
Well done. I was glad to meet you. I had the story, but we never met face to face. Do you like this poet?
Who's that one there? No. My wife's family and Henry Vaughan had a court case, so she hates Henry Vaughan. and my wife's family won, and it was a woman suing Henry Vaughan.
Wow. And he was a solicitor as well, wasn't he?
He was doctor, yeah.
Doctor, and but he also studied law at one time.
Oh, he did law at Oxford, I think.
Yeah, there we are. Anyway.
I'm David Shields. I write a bit of poetry.
I'm Christine Williams. I paint with beeswax and I also write.
We met before, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes. When was that?
When I came to hear you last. When I heard you last.
I'm John Price, I'm from Hay. I don't write books. I do contribute articles to the Kilvert Journal. I was talking to Hilary this morning, who I've seen twice this week, who is Owen's wife. And I can't remember her name, I'm the treasurer. I've also seen her this morning from the Brecon History Society. I did underwrite the republishing of Radnorshire from Above a few years ago for the Radnorshire Society, which I'm also a member of, and that's gone quite well. I even know one person who's bought or has got the book in this room, but I'm not going to mention his name. But Kilvert Journal, and I'm doing a talk for the Powys Family History Society, which is the Brecon section, on W.E.T. Morgan now in April, and he was Kilvert's best man at the wedding. He wanted to marry one of the Lynn Thomas girls, but he was also refused. And I've also done Tom Williams from Lowes. His brother inherited the Abercalmus estate, and that's just gone in the Kilvert Journal now this March, so, which is out now, but it's March.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Margaret Blake. I have no such claims to fame. I'm an amateur writer. I write for pleasure, short stories and just trying a novel. Interested in local history and wildlife.
Exactly the same sort of things as me.
I'm her husband.
Interested in wildlife history.
So I've come to keep the
You look in good shape anyway, so she's looking after you all the way around. I'm not sure how it goes these days. Anyway, nice to meet you all anyway. I put that picture up to start because it'll become more obvious later on. But I want to speak quickly about publishing and getting your work out there. And I talked in quite some depth last time, so I'm not going to go into quite so much depth this time, but there's so many ways that we all want our work out there, don't we? We spend all our time doing it, we believe in it, we want it out there. So the first book I produced, I touted it around all these different publishers, and they're all very interested, but they all said no in the end. So finally, I took the bull by the horns. I did a self-publication. And when you do that, at least you're in full charge of what you pay for is what you get. You decide what the cover looks like, what sort of paper you're using, what sort of pictures, and how many pictures you have inside it. You're in full charge, but it's expensive. I had to get loans and goodness knows what else, and I even had adverts in the first book because it was touch and go whether I was going to sort of be bankrupt at the end of it, but it didn't. It went very well actually. So it is an expensive way of doing things, but the work involved. I mean, I had to do all the publicity work, and with the local history, it's not so bad because you're just doing it locally. Touting it on all the bookshops and any outlet I could think of. But when the actual book comes out, it was me that had to go out and distribute it. And go back around to collect the money when they sold it and so forth. It was all sort of sale and return, isn't it? But the book sold extremely well, and I actually made quite a lot of money with it, which I was quite surprised about, but relieved actually. After the first couple of weeks when I could see the money coming in, I think, you know, I haven't got to sell the house. But I believed in the book, and it sold out. You can't get it any longer. That was the first one I've done. There's another method these days, e-books. This wasn't available back in 1989 when my first book came out. There's a lot of companies out there who will do it for you, and they will charge you. They'll charge you quite a lot of money. But if you've got some good friends or you've got the ability with the computer, e-books, people like Amazon, they will do it for you, and you can't make money doing it that way. Because e-books, I mean, all the books which my publisher is bringing out these days, there's also an e-version of it as well. So, if you've got the time and the knowledge, that's the way to do it. E-books. So, I haven't actually gone down that road yet, but I won't say I never will. So my relationship with my publisher is a little bit dodgy at the moment. There we are. Anyway, working with a publisher, let's move on from that one. I was lucky. They contacted me and asked me if I'd work for them, if I would do some work for them. Otherwise, you have to send your work to them. And a lot of friends of mine, I mean, there's one particular friend of mine, he's got a pile of rejection slips, but he doesn't let it put him off. He's still hawking his book and his work because he believes in it, and one day he will get somebody to publish it. So if you believe in your idea, they want to submit it these days. They don't want it on hard copy on paper like we used to. It's got to be in digital format now, either on a disc or on one of these data sticks or something like that. And this is the sort of format they like the text in. That is part of the text from this book. And you can see where you have to indicate to them where you want the different images to go. So you have to do a text file and an image file. And the images, you also want captions below, so you want another file again with the captions for the images, and they're all going to be sort of numbered the same way so you know which caption goes to which photo. That's the sort of format they like it in. And here's part of the image file I sent in. So the images all go with the different text. It's quite good fun. And whereas self-publication, it can be quite expensive, this method, the publisher pays all the bills. But they make all the decisions whether to accept your ideas or to reject them, and that's where we are at the moment. They keep asking me, this book is out. They've been sending loads of emails to me since then, asking me, will I do another book? So I made a few suggestions to them, and every book I suggest, they say no when they come back with a different idea, which I don't like. But I think we may have got there now. I've got another new idea which we're working on. And as Kay said, it's going to be this time I'm thinking about doing it with a co-author. A friend of mine who lives locally, and I'm hoping he's going to come on board and we'll do it together. I won't say what it is just yet, but they may even say no again. In which case I'll go back to e-publishing. The thing is, when you get your work rejected, it's quite disappointing. I've been there, I know what it feels like when they build your hopes up and say, this looks interesting, yes, we like your text, we like the work. And after a while they come back and say, well, yes, it's a very good book, but we don't think it'll sell enough copies to make it viable. That's all they're interested in, is making money, these publishers, isn't it? And you can't blame them, that's their business. But it's very disappointing to have these things. But when you do get accepted, once your work is accepted, you have to sign a contract. And that's a two-way thing. You're saying that you're going to produce this work by a certain date, a certain quality, but they dictate the number of words, the number of illustrations and so forth, and very often there's a format you have to follow, the page format. And Amberley Publishing, the people I've been working with, they do series of books throughout the United Kingdom. This is A to Z of Brecon. It's also one of all the other major towns in the UK. So, and they're all pretty much the same format. Was it about 12,000 words and 100 photographs, I believe it was, something like that anyway. But they're paying all the bills. Sometimes if you're lucky you get a cash advance. Don't go booking holidays. If you don't produce the goods, they want it back. But at the end of the year, after the book comes out and it's sold, you do get a certain amount of royalties. You do get a little, but again, in my case, it's not enough. It's not enough to have holidays on, is it, Sue?
Certainly not.
No. But it's a nice little check once a year comes in. So, but that's quite nice. So if you want to make money, my advice is self-publish, because you can make some money that way. If you just want your work published, you can persuade a publisher to do it. You won't make any money, but it's nice to see your work out there. And that's me. I'm lazy. I've been there taking the work around all the different shops and outlets and chasing it up, and my cupboards at home are full of boxes of books. Yeah. So I go for the lazy thing on that one. We're expected to follow guidance as authors. Hello.
Sorry.
No, come on in, you're welcome. We're expected to follow the guidance of the publisher on this. They say the layout of the book and what type of layout they want. And also, they expect us to either take the photographs or choose them. And there's sort of permissions involved in things like that. If you're using somebody else's photos, you need to have their permission. And sometimes they want on paying that as well. But that's down to us as well, what they're concerned with. And the deadline is the deadline. This one, the deadline was November. I actually submitted the copy in August. The deadline was November for a launch on February the 15th. So I went in August and I thought, well, they're bound to send it out earlier now. The book will be out a lot earlier, but no. It came out last month, same as per plan. They have these plans of what books are going to be done, you know, the machines that put the books together. It's all planned there. But the fact they got it done early left me to do other things, and that's where this article for Brecon magazine came from. It's about Buffalo Bill, by the way, those of you that are interested. Submitting a copy to the publisher, again, take the sticks, but when I send a copy to them, I usually use a method called fast, e-transfer. There's companies out there which transfer large files to publishers. WeTransfer is one of them. If you try and send a large file by email or something, it just won't work. But there are companies out there, and that's the way they like to have it done. And you know they've got it because they reply to you and so forth. Once your book comes out, you are expected to help them with the publicity and so forth. You have to do things like this. You have to come and work with Dell. I mean, that's a chore in itself. No, it's lovely working with you, Dell. Thank you for inviting me. I actually love doing things like this. Because I'm meeting people, like-minded people I've met before. You get to know these people. They're like-minded people, and we feed off each other as well. So I love these sort of things. We do get a certain amount of copies. Authors get usually about 10 or 15 free copies of the book. But all the people who have helped you and given you information along the way, they get them. And friends and family. So there we are. But we do get discounts, a small discount if we buy any books from their catalogue. I think I get 10% off any of the books in their catalogue. Hello, come on in. Yes. You thought it was Papa Slim Star as well, didn't you?
He was in the paper. He was in the Brecon Road.
Is that what it says, eh? Don't believe, I can't say that because they've been wonderful to me. They've got to give me a wonderful advert this week. That's probably what I told them. Sorry, Del. Did you see it?
No, I was looking for it, but our copy
The little paper?
disappeared, so...
Half a page.
Oh, yeah, I'll be idea disappeared for some reason.
You were mentioned by name.
Oh, was I really?
No.
Oh.
The new thing these days with publishers, they like you to do a blog. They've been in touch with me several times now. The book is out and it's going down well, the sales are good. We need a blog. No, I've never done one of those in my life. I've looked at what other people have done, and so it's a possibility. I'll get Sue to do it probably. You up for that, Sue?
Yeah.
But there we are, that's what you're expected to do, a blog. Anyway, moving on. These wonderful places of education, the libraries, you know. Books go out of here, don't they? Your books are loaned, the public read them and they bring them back. Well, there's this thing called the LR. Have you heard of that? It's a bugbear of mine, it is. This is a quote from their website. Every time a book goes out from a public library, the author gets 9 pence. Honestly, not from the library, it comes from a central fund. The best-selling author is Lee Child had the best-selling book, single book, and he had 101,000 loans in British libraries in 2017-18 at 9 pence a shot. It's not bad money, is it? Well, I could live on it. He's not the best. I mean, his other authors were several titles in the sales. I can't think of his name, American guy. Help me, Sue. No. He's the best son of the lot, and he has been for donkey's years. The year before that, in 2016-17, it was his Paula Hawkins. She only had 71,000 loans at 9 pence a shot. I mean, not worth doing, is it? Hardly worth the effort. I've got several books listed there with the PLR, and do you know they calculate it? And these days with modern technology, you think every time a book was stamped out by Dell or whoever else, or Sue or whoever, you'd think it would be ka-ching in headquarters of PLR, wouldn't you? No. It's back to the old-fashioned method. They select certain libraries throughout the UK. I don't know how many. A couple of years ago, the nearest one to us was Caerphilly. They were using Caerphilly for this entire area. Hello, come on in.
Hello. But, right, this confused now. I only want to quickly buy a book and run because I've got a funeral. And could you sign it as well? This is
yes. We'll do it, yes.
Sorry, Mal.
Yes. It's certain libraries, they don't say what they are. It's top secret which libraries they use for PLR. But I found out the newest one was a couple of years ago was Caerphilly. How many books of mine go out from Caerphilly, do you think? How many local authors, how many Roberts books goes out from Caerphilly? I mean, they're local books of local interest, aren't they? I got my PLR statement here for last year. Here it is. It's showing 2, 4, 5 books on it at 9 pence a time. Yeah? What's the total? How much did I get for PLR last year? And my books are the best. They go out in Bilth and Black, and they go out, they're quite high up in the list. I know that for a fact. Everywhere else, nobody wants them. The local interest, aren't they? How much do you think I got for PLR last year? I need my glasses here and a calculator to work this out. 63 pence. Honestly, 63 pence, that's my total for the year. It's just not fair, is it? Anyway, the point I'm trying to make,
Sorry,
can you give me 30 seconds? I'll pass my bill out and have a look at that. Oh, good old John. What did I say? Thank you.
Apologies everyone.
Hello, David from me.
Yes, I will, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, where was I? Yes, my bill. Point is, if you're doing local history, things like that, don't expect any money from PLR. It's a waste of time, but there we are. It's just a bugbear for me. But it works for most authors. If you're doing fiction and things like that, or books which are poetry and things which are of general interest, get them out in the library, send them 3 copies to all the libraries in the UK, you'll make a fortune then, every time they go out. Anyway, my researching methods. How do I put these books together? We get the idea from the publisher, we agree to do it. So where do we go for the information? Well, places like this are a good place to start. There's a good section here on local history and things like that in this particular library. Hello there. You can also, I spent quite a few hours on the microfiche machine. That's why I got square eyes. The microfiche machine, they got all the local papers going back to the year dot, all the public census, wonderful place for that. I also used the archives in Llandrindod. Years ago, I used to have to get on a bus and go to Aberystwyth and places like that, to the National Library, and spend time there. At least things have got a bit better since then. We've got the internet as well, which is a huge source of information. Newspapers, specialist social media. In this town, they've got a couple of wonderful sites here for the history of this town, and the photographs that appear there, and some of the information you get about ghosts in certain buildings in the town.
I don't know how we got that story, to be honest.
From Memories of Old Brecon, that site, that Facebook site. You put it on there. I said thank you. I've never met you before. It's lovely to meet you today. But these specialist social media sites, it's surprising. Meeting people I know, like yourselves, you know, you talk to them and they know things and they put you in touch with other people or they'll link with somebody else. I remember one day I went to Urgaya, the old Urgaya, the fort, Roman fort out in, where's it, Battle, isn't it, Craddock?
Aberystwyth.
Yes. If you haven't been there, you should. You really should. It's well worth seeing. But when I was there, just by chance, I met this chap I was talking to, and he was making Welsh love spoons as he was talking to me, carving them. Well, that was a story in itself. I used that in one of my last books. And I had a photo of him in there. Just something was happened by chance along the way. Well, I've been up in the cemetery in Brecon here looking for a specific grave of somebody I'm interested in. And you find something completely different. You think, that's, you know, example, I saw a gravestone of one chap, and he'd been killed in an accident on the Brecon to Merthyr Railway, and he was the fireman. I thought, well, I didn't know about that. So, come back down, Dale, can I use a microfiche on there, and you find out all the information about that, the accident that occurred that day, and you find out about the chap, his family, and it was just walking past that gravestone.
Yeah.
Things can snowball and mushroom. That's the sort of things I use anyway. And I got a collection of quite a large library at home myself of books, photographs and so forth, which I'm going to put in the county archives one of these days when I get round to it. But now and again, I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and I have this fantastic idea of something we can do or some line to take with a book. But what you've got to do is write it down, because when you wake up in the morning, you'll have forgotten all about it. When you get these ideas, make a note of them. And as soon as you can as well, write it down. Not perfectly, just a few notes about what your thoughts were, because once you've done that, you've got that, you can refer back to it, you can use it or reject it, but there's so many good ideas that come to me in the middle of the night when I've woken up. So all this beer I drink before you go to bed, it does have an effect, it's worthwhile. Hello. But those are some of the methods I use anyway, folks. You okay with that? Well, I forgot to advance this. A lovely picture to show you there. A black and white there, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not, Del, it's not. Those are some of my research methods. So, any questions so far? I'm just checking your eyes. Are you still in the open position? Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Could you talk a bit about the content of your books? Are you planning to talk about the content of your
content?
Books? Yes.
I'm going to look at that in a moment. Right. The latest book. Yeah.
You can also, if you do this thing in the night, write things down. What I've done, if I haven't got a pen or something handy, I'll throw something on the floor, and that will remind me the next morning.
Because you wake up in the morning, what's an idea I had last night? But it's not happened to you. No.
I heard something.
I get some fantastic ideas. I mean, when I was doing some work at the university years ago, I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning for some dissertation I was doing or whatever. I'd have to get up and do it. So I'd wake up to an empty bed in the morning. Because the idea was then I had to do it then or I'd forget. Yeah, that's just the way I do things anyway. But yeah. So the new book. The new book. I'm very pleased with it. When they asked me to do another book, I'm like, I said, what can I say that we haven't said before? What can we cover? I mean, the way I like to do the books, I like to have things which are interesting to people. I don't want to bore them with facts and figures. I like to have things which people are going to think, yeah, that's cool, that's interesting. So I started looking and thinking, and quite a lot of things came up. I'll read you a little section.
Please.
I've got my glasses on for this. This is tomorrow's the International Day of Women. Women. It's amazing how many wonderful women I came across when I was doing this book. Women feature very highly in here, and some of them we've almost forgotten. I just find the piece I wanted to put first. Here we are. The old jail. The old jail. We all know the old jail, don't we? It's been knocked down now and rebuilt as flats. Just a few little pieces. I find that we know a lot about the town, a lot of the names of people famous in town, but you ask people what did they do or what happened there, and that's when you get the stone wall. So the old jail, this is what I put here, not too much. The old jail, as the Brecon County Jail was known, stood on the banks of the River Towel in Llanbase. It dated from 1778, replacing an infamous prison in the Wharton. Male prisoners were sentenced to hard labour and were employed on treadmills. Women were employed washing, mending, cleaning and knitting. A silent system was the rule for convicted prisoners. So no talking there. Here are some of the crimes recorded. 19-year-old Joseph Robinson was sentenced to death for burglary in 1817. Death for burglary. That would deter a few people today, wouldn't it? In April 1845, a crowd estimated to be in excess of 15,000 or more crowded on the western banks of the river to witness the execution of Thomas on the jail side. The executioner was incompetent, and the condemned man took several minutes to die. Again, in 1861, an execution was botched for the same hangman. and 19-year-old William Williams suffered a slow and agonising death. So much so that the crowd howled abuse at the hangman and a constable who tried to intervene. In 1895, a 17-year-old was sentenced to 3 months hard labour for stealing 2 casks of ale on the treadmill for 3 months. Anyway, the jail was knocked down and replaced as flats in 1975. Just moving forward. A to Z. Where do we start with A? Adelaide Gardens. I lived there once, you know. Yeah, I lived in Adelaide Gardens. 51, I grew up in 51, yeah, I think it was. Lovely estate, built just after the war. I remember them building it. No, I don't. Not that old. Unfortunately, I am. I just thought one day, how did it, you know, it's an odd name, Adelaide. Is there a connection with Australia or something? No. It's all to do with this lady, Adelaide Williams. One of the Penpont family, the Garnons-Williams family of Penpont. She's a daughter of them. She was quite a woman in her time. She could see what was happening to farm labourers at the time, the awful lives they had, and she campaigned on their behalf for social issues. She formed a boys' brigade in Llanbeis and a football club as well, and she, all from her own efforts, and she loved the people of Llanbeis for some reason. She also had a lot of connections with Christ College. I've seen her name in the papers many times, presenting prizes there, and the other schools throughout the town. One of the first women to become a poor law guardian. Now, this was a time when women couldn't vote, and her and Gwensley and Morgan, they were elevated to the status of poor law guardians and school governors. Wonderful woman. It'd be hard pressed to find somebody in Brecon who knows why Adelaide Gardens got his name. She seems to have been forgotten. The boys from the Boys Brigade, when they went off to the First World War, when they came back, she used to put on special events for them. She loved her Boys Brigade boys. She never married, and she died in 1942. Photographs of her are like hen's teeth. I got it from Richard Williams, one of her family. The Williams family of Penpont, they claim descent, direct descent from Anne Boleyn. They believe that the family came over from Boulogne, in France, with William the Conqueror. And a lot of the Williams family in Penpont, they used the name Boleyn as a second name. The male line used to so-and-so Boleyn Williams. And they say that her photograph is almost identical to the photograph of Anne Boleyn at Hampton Court. Boleyn House in Brecon, in Ship Street. Family used to own it, that's how it got the name. Just little bits of snippets. I found out just because I thought, oh, hey, Adelaide Gardens, let's take a few photos of Adelaide Gardens. How did it get its name? These things just develop. Oops, on there. Ooh, A to Z. What do we put for Z? In Brecon it's easy, we've got the Zulus, haven't we? I came across this, zymotic disease. The zymotic disease, I better get the book open for this one. It's going to be a bit complicated. Not too complicated, but get the right page. That's the old medical term for acute infectious diseases such as typhus, typhoid fever, smallpox, cholera, diphtheria, and so forth. Over the 5-year period during the 1840s, zymotic disease is recorded as the second biggest cause of death in Brecon town, with almost 1/5 of all deaths reported to that. Let's just move forward and look at what's happening today. These are the causes of death. This is worldwide, not UK, and those are millions. Cardiovascular disease is by far the biggest killer today, followed by cancers, respiratory disease, COPD, all smoking-related illnesses, and diabetes, dementia, lower the filthy infections, seasonal flu and things like that. I won't use the word cholera. Neonatal deaths, we're getting down quite small figures now, aren't we, compared to the cardiovascular, going all the way down to HIV, homicide, 0.39, drowning, maternal, yeah. Liver disease is quite small, isn't it? So you're better off drinking and... no, I didn't say that. Okay, so back in the mid-19th century, this is what the town was like. The exact causes of the epidemics that occurred with alarming regularity were not understood at the time, but it became obvious that they were focused upon specific areas of the town, usually where the poorer families lived. The nuisances, it's a quote now, the nuisances arising from the 7 pigsties at Kensington were complained about, the filth on the side of the public footpath in Mill Street leading to Newton Pool, the filthy state of Silver Street. They came in with particular criticism. The report on the town said there were very many cottages that have no privies, that's what we call toilets today. Many had no outlet at the back, and filth of every kind is often thrown before the doors to the disadvantage of the public. I like that term, the disadvantage of the public, is throwing all this slops out. People walk through. There was a George Thomas Clark, the sanitary engineer who made the report then. Plant base came in for special mention because that was the flattest part of the town. And they used to have drainage ditches there and so forth, but these weren't effective. You know what cleared the streets in Plant base? Floods. The annual floods. The weather, general annual floods. That was the way the streets were cleared. No wonder there was so much disease about. There we are. Just the other killers, just behind the information. The biggest killer at the time was lung disease, 25%, which included tuberculosis, pneumonia, and bronchitis. Second place was the zymotic disease. Diseases affecting the brain, spinal marrow, nerves, and senses came third. I think we're talking strokes and that sort of thing. There was 17% of the people. Old age, death because of old age, that was the 4th biggest killer. I didn't know that was a disease, but apparently there's 16% of people died of old age. Disease of the heart and blood vessels, which is the big killer up there, 2.4%. It wasn't an issue then, heart disease. I wonder why.
They didn't live long enough to get.
Probably not. You were dead long before your heart gave up. Interesting figures. I love things like that. These are things which I came across. And a different author. This map came from. There was a very severe typhoid outbreak at one time in the 1840s, and it was all put down to this stream, which this London Road and all that. We call that Mainy Street today. Bailey Glass, that's Data Street. That was the old name for Data Street, that was. So this is where the streams come down from Cathedral Hill, Private Hill, and down, right this way down through here. And Wells Street, which still exists, it's a little street off Data Street going towards Mainy Terrace. That was the site where people got their water. So all these people up here throwing all this slops into the stream. You can imagine what happened, can't you? That was identified as the source of the typhoid outbreak, and a lot of people died. As soon as they found out what it was, they put that stream to a culvert, and things changed overnight virtually. But look at this, Black Boy. That's what that area. This is where they come in. Is that little corner just there? Yeah. Mill Street. Here's Mount Pleasant, and Money Court it was called in those days. There's Data Street. You see something missing? Brecon people, when you're walking up from town, there's a castle, Keller, area there and so on. You're walking up past, and there's Data Street, there's Mount Pleasant, the lane going down there. How do you get from there to there? There's no street, is there? What we call the avenue today, from there to there, doesn't exist. So what happened? You got it? I'll home in on this a bit closer. This is a nice picture of the railway, elevated through most of its way through town. There's the station up there, by the way. And this is the part we're talking about, just there. Just give me 1 second, I'll get this up a bit bigger if I can. That's a bit there. There is there's the avenue. There is Data Street, links with the avenue. Wells Street comes up there. You see, because the railway cuts straight through Data Street, and that's why there's that funny little junction into Mill Street. It's quite awkward to get into Mill Street from there, and that was the only problem they had. But that's why the avenue is where it is. They had to build it when the railways came. Just a little snippet which I found out from this. I think it's interesting anyway. You might think it's. Think like that. He's always let me down. Move on. There we are. Ooh. Henry Vaughan. We've talked about him before, haven't we? Do I need to talk about him now? Or a little bit, maybe. Yes. It was my house in school. McGann, Siddons, Theo, Vaughan. I was in Vaughan. What do I know about him? Nothing. Used to wear blue badge on our lapels, and that was it. I knew he was a poet. I didn't realise quite how well known and how renowned he was. I knew he was buried down at Hanson Fried, but they turned to Talabont. I went down there one day and I took that photo. Henry Vaughan, 1695, one of Wales' best known poets. Born near Brecon, where he lived most of his life. Educated at Jesus College, but took no degree. 2 years later, his father sent him to London to study law. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he returned to Wales and entered military service on the Royalist side. He loved the peace of the Usk Valley and later practiced medicine here. He was twice married, first to Catherine Wise and later to her sister Elizabeth. He's bilingual and there's a subtle Welsh influence in his poetry which also reflects his love of his native valley. Between 1646 and 1655 he published several volumes of poetry, including his major works, Silex Scintillans, I think that's how you say it, in 2 parts. He died April 1695 and buried at Hanson Fried on the banks of the Usk. His work influenced William Wordsworth and the Siegfried Sassoon Society regularly visit the site. That wreath you can see there, that was left by the Siegfried Sassoon Society, you know, a World War I poet, very famous guy, because he wrote a poem about the grave of Henry Vaughan. And I was very pleased when they opened this building, and I saw that outside the doors when you come in here. What we got at the very top there? I saw eternity the other night. This is a poem we saw at the start of the presentation. Like a great ring of pure and endless light, all calm as it was bright. I chose that to go in the book. Gaia chose that to go outside the building. I think that's a nice coincidence. We appreciate the same things. I know some of you nearly put the foot in it and gave the game away, didn't you? Because I know Jonathan recognized the poem immediately, didn't you?
Do you know the other connection of Siegfried Sassoon and Brecon?
Sassoon? Oh, come on. We all learn, don't we, these things?
Well, in France, on the war memorial, there's the...
yes, the lad.
David Cuthbert Thomas.
David Cuthbert,
who was
yes.
the best friend of Siegfried Sassoon
Yes.
and Robert Graves, and both poets have written several elegies about Cuthbert Thomas.
That's in my last book, actually. You reminded me. Yes. He was David Cuthbert Thomas, what a waste.
Yeah.
Wonderful man. So much so, all his life in front of him, cut short by the war. Terrible thing. I was tickled pink when I saw that outside, but the same poem that I've chosen here. I must have got taste. I don't look at myself as a poet. I'm sure a lot of you recognise that building if you can't place it. It's the building about 200 yards down Dinnis Road, near to where the old tennis club used to be. We know that it was once an orphanage. That's what all I knew about it, was the Dinnis orphanage. I did a little bit of research on it, and I'm going to share a little bit with you. I'm not boring you with reading passages from this book, am I?
You might say, it might put us off from buying it.
Well, yes, that's okay, yeah. I'm not going to do too much, it's okay. But I looked into this place. Most of the things I covered in the book, I've just got a short little piece about them, but this place, I gave it 2.5 pages. I'm not going to read the whole 2.5 to you. The Dinnis Training Home for Orphan Girls at Dinnis Road was established in 1882 by the Girls Friendly Society, the GFS. I don't know if it's still going in town, they were very big here once upon a time. The home could house up to 8 girls aged 6 to 12 years who were trained for eventual employment in domestic service. A payment of 5 shillings a week was requested for each girl, though some free cases were given. In September 1882, the home was accredited as a certified school, allowing it to receive girls boarded out by the guardians who administered poor relief and the workhouse system. It was a better place to be for young girls in that place than in the workhouse. Who was there, do you think? I'm going to skip a bit and just jump forward a little bit. The census in 1891 records 38-year-old Miss Harriet Fennell as its matron, and there were 6 boarders listed then. Elizabeth Sage, age 14, her sister Eliza Sage, age 11, both born in Sutton. Fanny Elizabeth Fisher, age 13, and her sister Adelaide Maud Fisher, age 7, from Swindon. Charity Ellen Sabine, born in London, and 1 local girl, Catherine Dennison, who was born in Llandudno. I covered one particular girl's life in some detail, I won't go to that now, but 1901, the matron was Ruth Headley, age 48, from Todmorden in Yorkshire. 8 boarders then: Eva Jones, age 8, from Bilth; Ada Pledis, age 13, from London; Marion Morgan, age 13, and her sister Mabel Morgan, age 8, from Hay-on-Wye; Clara Millie, age 10, from Canterbury in Kent; and Mary Dobbin, born in India but listed as a British subject. You think an orphanage in your town would be local people, wouldn't you? But no, most of the people there came from away. It's a wonderful story, and this is how life was there. A strict routine whereby the eldest girl carried out most of the housework and laundry while the other children attended school. In dark winter evenings, the girls would spend 2 nights a week on the needlework, all helping to make what matron called their special objects. Other events in the home included a weekly evening service when the girls were taught how to sing in chorus and learned passages from the Bible. Sunday evenings were always set aside as story nights. I did 2.5 pages on that. Read the book, it's all in there. I love this picture. Charles I leaving the chapter house after staying there the night in, can't remember the year, off the top of my head. During the Civil War, he was on his way back from Swansea. Things were going really badly at the time. It was getting towards the end of the war. The whole thing hasn't changed that much, but the point I'm trying to make is Brecon is known to have been a loyalist hotbed. They were all supporters of the king here, and they had been for generations since Sir David Gam. He got killed while saving the life of Richard
Henry V.
First.
Henry V.
Henry V. Thank you. At Agincourt. That's it. Yes, Henry. Thank you. God, you king. He saved his life, and even though he was mortally wounded, he was knighted on the battlefield, and the king promised to look after his family, and that's how the Gam family came to the fore in Brecon. They knew which side of Glen was better, and a lot of other families in the town, they were all supporters of the king. It's from them that things like the Games Hospital, the almshouses in Landbase came into being, things like that. Just simple things. And during the Civil War, he was welcomed here. His soldiers were given horses and sent to help them on their way. The people of Brecon helped them. So at the end of the war, you can imagine what the Cromwellians thought of us. When they came here, they were not happy. They did a lot of damage in the town then. And it's all because of that. Things got better when Charles II came to the throne. Demographics. I won't go into the whole thing, I'm just going to touch on a few things here which I found particularly interesting. How are we doing time? Yes, time to wrap it up. Passport holders in Brecon. So a few years ago, the last census, it says, UK passports, that's obviously going to be the biggest number, isn't it? Yes, Mal is the answer. Start again. UK passport. Okay, EU numbers, surprisingly low, I thought. There we are. Others, 451, quite surprisingly, nearly 2,000 people in the town didn't have a passport at all. There we are. I like things like that. Religious groups. This is a test now, okay? This is a no cheating, no looking at the book, those of you who bought it. Biggest religious group? Well, let's bring them all together under the same flag. Christians. Yes, well done. Well done. Next. Second biggest group? One?
Catholics.
I think I'm on that flag, we do.
Buddhists.
One?
Buddhists was the Gurkhas.
Buddhists.
Was the Gurkhas.
Hindus. You're close. Hindus, yes. Next. Buddhists. Yes. You had a clue then, didn't you? Okay, next. Muslim. Surprisingly low number compared to the other religions, isn't it? Yeah. I thought that would be higher, but there we are. The census never lies. Pardon? Okay, what's next?
None.
No.
Jedi Knights.
Sikh. Okay. Jewish? Six. Yes, it's quite surprising, isn't it?
This is in Brecon.
Yes. Brecon, yes. It's the biggest one, the last census of Brecon. They released statistics like this. Other? Don't ask me what other means.
Jedi.
Jedi? Well, it could be like me as well. I
reckon. Got them.
There we are. And most surprising of all to me, over 2,000 people, you know, the second largest number claim to have no religion. There we are. Moving on. I love this picture. It's not very good, it's not the best picture in the world, but it shows you that, you know, that was the shop that became Woolworths, which is now B&Q Bargains or something, isn't it?
Factory shop.
Factory shop.
Yeah, that's it. That's the NP Bank, or the National Westminster Bank, the market entrance. That building on the corner was a hotel then. I covered the pictures here because I put a little piece about this building here. And when we're talking about women, one of the things that came out about that building is a lady owned it, but they had a dinner there in 1918, an annual dinner for the post office. And for the first time ever, women were amongst the post deliverers. It shows you what was happening in the war, wasn't it? Women were taking on more and more jobs. And the war did change things for women quite substantially, but that came out in the research I did about that place. And of course the Zulus, the visit of King Goodwill last year, covered that in quite some detail, some lovely photos there of them. And a pal of mine, he helped me with taking a lot of those. I'm told the afterglow in the rugby club was wonderful. They were all there. There was a pal of mine from Welsh Pool came down to take a few photos, and he went to the rugby club afterwards, and he said they were all in there having a great time. We were away, weren't we? So, yeah. Most haunted. Now, we talked about ghosts earlier on, and the ghosts in the Guildhall, where they've had exorcisms, they've had ghost hunts at night and all sorts there, haven't they? That was the place where the most ghosts I came across occurred. There's a good section in the book about the ghosts that were found there. Some was quite scary. And these are people, you know, I've avoided using their names in the book. Some of the things that happened in there, that was the old workhouse. That was St. David's Hospital. Thankfully now it's only the college that uses it. So the college boys are getting scared now of the ghosts, nobody else. But that turned out to be the most haunted building in Brecon I was aware of. So many different ghosts in there, things that occurred. Nothing particularly nasty though. The nastiest ones occurred in some other places. But I sort of tied those into the text along the way. And it's all because a lady complained once, one of her book launches, she said, well, there aren't any ghosts in here. So she's got her money's worth this time, I'm sure. You all know what that is, don't you? Sunbase, the church, turn left.
Ah, right.
The church. I've been on Dowie, and straight up the hill, on the right hand side, just at the bottom of the hill. That was the old workhouse. Then St. David's Hospital, which was a sort of geriatric hospital for many years, and then it closed down, and the college took it over. The college has taken over all that side of Sunbase, haven't they?
They're selling it now.
Pardon?
They're selling it now.
Are they? Oh. There'll be a housing estate soon then, no doubt. There we are. And we spoke about this a few moments ago with the rugby club. I talked about how many of you watch what's that program with the Pointless? How many of you watch Pointless? That was a Pointless answer on Pointless the other day. Sue and I were watching. Well, I was watching, she was cooking her dinner. And it said, founder members of the WRU. Got the name. I knew Brecon was one of the founding team because of this. Sorry, good, honestly, it's a minor information. Founder members. I said, Brecon RFC, Pointless answer. We got more, they got more faith than that. I've got to find this guy, tell you a little bit about him. Richard Williams, his name is. He's related to Penpont as well. The Penpont family. Brecon founder members. Another of the club's claims to fame is a local boy, Richard Davis Garnham Williams. There he is. Former player, represented Wales at forward in their first ever international match against England. Now that's a coincidence today, isn't it? We've played them again this afternoon. I think he's not playing today, though. February 1881. First ever Wales-England international. We won't bother with the score. Richard came from a very old Brecon family, and although a serving army officer, he still continued to play for Newport RFC and occasionally for Brecon. I won't go into the game. He finished the game when he came up with honour, but Wales finished with 11 fit men. Anyway, it goes on. Age 58, at the outbreak of the First World War, he put his hand up and rejoined the army and served with distinction until he was killed in action in 1915. He was 59 at the time of his death, the oldest Welsh rugby international to die in the war. Of course, I go on to talk about last season, 2018-19 season for the club, which is probably the best ever, where they won the Principality, the national plate at Principality Stadium, defeating Bonamine, and also the following day, it's in here somewhere if I can find it. They were crowned champions of Division 1 East as well, a remarkable double. That was the club last year. So I thought I'd better mention that as well.
He's a nephew for Tom Williams, who I wrote the article about in the Kilvert Journal now in March.
Pardon?
He's a nephew for Tom Williams, Reverend Tom Williams, who's in Kilvert's diary.
Yes, they're all the same family, aren't they?
Yeah, he was born in Lowes.
There's the connections to the family. I mean, there's another chap in there, Archdeacon Richard Davis. I cover his life in some detail in there because he's a wonderful man, and what he did for Brecon, which has been forgotten, is amazing. But he again, Richard Williams, he was telling me that he is connected to the family as well by ways too complicated to describe. If you can't describe it as a family member, well, that's it. But yeah, a big and a very influential family in the town.
His house is for sale in Hay now. It's, oh crikey, I can't remember, it's 3 point something million, I think. Oakfield.
Oh.
It's a red house as you come down, and it's on the right-hand side up across the field. As you're coming into Hay from Brecon, yes. You look up on the right-hand side, and that's where his house was.
Oh, nice.
Oakfield.
Make a note, Sue, put us down for the viewing. How much did you say it was?
3 point something. Million.
Oh, no, forget that. Joking aside. That's my last slide, folks. Time is getting on. You've suffered quite enough of listening to me, I'm sure. I really enjoyed speaking to you. I hope I've sort of given you some sort of feel to what's in the book. Some things are going into a lot of detail, and they tend to be the things which people know the least about. I talk about Sarah Siddons and what she did. I look at Gwenllian Morgan and some of her achievements as well. Reverend Richard Davis, the Archdeacon. I look at the things he did with the schools and the poor people in this town was amazing. He used to pay out of his own pocket when the snow fell down and people couldn't walk. They couldn't walk. When they couldn't work because of the snow, he'd pay them to clear the snow out of his own pocket, things like that. There's some wonderful people in there. And I was very pleased at the end, right, when I finished that book, I thought, well, yes, there is enough for another book, but there won't be another. That'll be the last book of that type that I'll be doing on Brecon. That makes the set, I think. But thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of books over there if anybody wants any. I've got this one. I've also got a couple of copies of The Secret Brecon, the one that came out a couple of years ago as well, if anybody wants one. Sue's in charge of all that. But thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope those who buy the book do enjoy the book as well. And just nice to be here with you again. The next book I'm planning to do is about something completely different. Thank you.